Good morning, everyone. Chief Ridenour here with Riverbank Police Services. First of all, Happy New Year. I wanted to take some time to kind of talk about where we were in 2020 and where we're going in 2021. So in 2020, we had nearly 11,000 case numbers generated in the city of Riverbank. Those include calls that we are dispatched to, and also self-initiated activity where we're making stops or contacting people or online reports. What that means is deputies may see somebody committing a traffic violation, they make a traffic stop, or it could be they see somebody that has an active warrant and they make a stop for that person. So that's what we mean by self-initiated activity versus a dispatched call where it goes through our call service. Our traffic division stayed very busy. Unfortunately, we had 39 traffic collisions that resulted in injuries. We had numerous other property damage collisions, but the 39 were the ones I want to talk about the most because it resulted in someone being injured. We had nearly 45 DUI arrests. Again, those are not just alcohol, that's both drugs and alcohol last year. Our detective divisions, they stayed very busy last year. So our detectives, they work our more in-depth cases that require more time to look into things, a lot of follow-up. Then we want to make sure we have a solid case that when we submit it to the district attorney's office that we're going to have a prosecution. And with that, we did make several arrests last year. I say several because anything more than one is a lot related to sex-related crimes. And it goes because of the hard work these gentlemen have put into their job in following up on cases to get these investigations. They have to listen to numerous phone calls, write search warrants, go through all the data, especially when it's electronic in nature these days. You can just imagine how much data they have to go through in order to get everything put together. But kudos to them, they did a great job and they're leading the way there. We're used to being out in the community. I specifically wanted to be out in the community more and being contacting people in my first year as chief. But with COVID, it changed the way we do things. But with that, we still had several events. We were able to do our Junior Police Academy, our Safe Kids Helmet Program, where we're able to give helmets to kids that we were able to get through donations and make sure kids have helmets for their bicycles. Life jacket loaner programs, specifically at Jacob Myers Park, where the river is there. We help loan out life jackets there to keep people safe there. We had a community outreach barbecue. This allowed us to feed several people in the community that are in need. We had a large barbecue luncheon. We had a great turnout. It was actually bigger than we expected. We worked with the Riverbank Food Bank to make sure we delivered food to the homeless, the people that really need food out there, that are people that are in need. They're going through tough times, especially with COVID. That's ever more important, and we'll continue to be involved in that this year as well. We had our Shop with the Cop program. This is a program that is number one on my agenda every year. It's a year-long process to prepare for this. We're used to taking kids in the past to the shopping centers to shop for them. We got a list of items they needed, essential items of clothing, and we went and shopped for them and then delivered the essential clothing along with presents and food for the family in a caravan. And we did it individually, social distance, wore masks, and made sure that we provided a safe and wonderful holiday for the kids, but also making sure that they were safe and we were safe as well. We also had our Child Seat Inspection Day. We're going to have several of those in 2021 coming up to make sure people know where those are at, so you can bring your cars by and we'll make sure that your car seats are properly fitted to the car and to your child, again, to make sure everybody's safe. And then lastly, we had our Crossroads Horse Patrol, our mounted unit. We bring our mounted unit out every holiday season in Crossroads. That is just due to the large amount of people that are out shopping to make sure that they're safe. It allows people to see our deputies on a one-to-one level, have conversations with them. You're going to see increased DUI checkpoints this year in Riverbank specifically. We get a lot of traffic. We have two main thoroughfares, obviously Highway 108 and Clarabelle Road, that provide a lot of traffic coming and going through Riverbank into our shopping centers. So you will see an increase in those areas, and our effort is to drive down the amount of driving under the influence in Riverbank. I think it's important that we have more videos like these where we come out and talk about new topics, provide some education to the public that they might not understand. An example of this would be noise complaints. We get a lot of noise complaints, especially on the weekends, where people call and they want to report a loud party or loud music. There's often a misconception with that. People think that they can just call and be anonymous and that we can just simply go over and ask somebody to turn the music down. That sounds very simple on face value, but the law requires for disturbing the peace, for one, someone's peace has to be disturbed. So we have to have a victim, somebody willing to sign a complaint. The law does not allow for a police officer to have their peace disturbed. It sounds kind of silly, but that's the way the law is. So we want to make sure people understand when they call that if you'd like us to make contact, you just need to not be anonymous, say, I'd like to have contact from the police officer. We'll come to your residence and talk to you about the complaint. And then we have to establish that the person creating the noise knows or should know that their noise is causing disturbance to others. Often that requires a warning the first time and then follow up the second time if it happens again to issue a citation or other action. But the ones I'm talking about are the large-scale illegal marijuana operations. These involve people that are modifying the electrical and structural to residences to basically make it a large marijuana cultivation site. We found that these sites not only create those hazards, but they're also criminal enterprises. They're often run by gangs. Last year in 2020, Riverbank seized 1,300 illegal marijuana plants and about 30 pounds of processed marijuana. The city even adopted an ordinance last year to help combat this. So if you're not aware, there is an ordinance in Riverbank that illegal marijuana grows. It's $1,000 per plant per day. So that can add up very quickly. An example is that we had a house last year that had 800 marijuana plants inside the residence alone. So the neighborhood, again, marijuana is legal, but they've rented this house out. They planted 800 plants throughout the entire residence, rerouted the electrical inside of it, creating a fire hazard. And it created an eyesore in the community, created a lot of unwanted traffic there. So we're going to see an increase in combating those type of operations because we're just not going to allow those kinds of things to bring down the quality of life for our community. In 2020, the Riverbank City Council adopted a new position for our police department, and that's by the way of a community resource deputy. So this deputy, their point is to focus on quality of life issues in Riverbank. So unlike a patrol officer where they work a beat and they respond to calls for service, or a detective that has cases assigned to them and they conduct follow-up, a community resource deputy is kind of right in the middle. So they have the freedom to go out and flexibility to go out and be proactive. They can target homelessness, for instance. They can make sure we're providing the homelessness the resources they need to help them be successful and move out of homelessness if they choose to. Another example would be graffiti. They can work graffiti cases if we can be proactive there. But the whole point is to find long-term solutions for these problems. And we realize the only way we can do that is by way of coordination. So our community resource deputy is going to coordinate with city and county services along with state services to make sure we partner with these agencies together. They get us all on the same page because we have to work collaboratively to solve some of these issues. They're also going to work with our nonprofits and our faith-based organizations and also our neighborhood watch programs, because again, we need everybody's involvement and help. It could be something as simple as, we're seeing a lot of crime in a certain area, and it could be based on the fact that, hey, maybe the streetlights burn out, so our community resource deputy can coordinate the city to come in and replace. That's a very small example, but you can see how that can get much larger. I'm very excited about this spot. The community resource deputy just started in December of 2020. His name is Deputy Zha Zong. And we're probably even going to have an episode coming up in the future where he can come in and talk about his projects, what he's accomplished and what he's going to accomplish in the future. So I think this is going to be a great asset to Riverbank. I think that we're going to see an impact in bettering the quality of life for Riverbank, and I look forward to that. So with that, that was a quick 2020 in review and where we're going in 2021. I'd like to say thank you to this community. Everybody is great. Riverbank is a wonderful place to work, and I look forward to seeing you guys all more in 2021.